Over this weekend was FNCS day 1 and 2, and at the end of day 2, whoever has the highest points added up throughout both games and 12 total matches is announced the FNCS winner. So in today's video, I'll be going over the games and recapping how teams placed on EU and NA. Let's start off with day 1 for EU. It's also important to mention that 24 players are competing for the first time in FNCS EU finals, which is actually insane to think about, but just shows the skill gap is only going up, since people are improving and we are seeing new faces in the competitive scene. Marius Cal's team placed first with 376 points in 6 games, 0 wins, but high kills and placements to give them their spot. They even came second 3 times and a third. Shortly behind was Vena's team in second with 343 points with 6 games and 2 wins, and Vena managed to clutch a 3v1, securing a win for his team. They also had the highest amount of eliminations throughout the teams, being 42 throughout 6 games. Third place was Ardrop's team having 334 points, less than 10 points behind second, so it's very close and anyone's game in round 2. In the 6 games they managed to get 1 win, but also decent eliminations and placements to get their spot. Fourth place was Pix's team with 319 points and 0 wins. This whole trio is only 16 years old, which is heavily underrated and new faces in the scene, like I was saying earlier. Fifth was Swizzy's team getting 312 points and having 1 win out of the 6 games. This day 1 was very close, not even over 100 points difference for the top 5. Now I'm not going to go over all the teams, only the important ones. MrSavage's team placed 11th day 1 with 216 points and they managed to win their 3rd game. This is definitely a better outcome than people were expecting. Let's see how they do for round 2. There was also a battle between 2 countries in this tournament. It was France versus Poland because they were both cornering each other at Lost Lake. Let's just say it didn't go so well for the Polish side. They ended up losing 5-1 off spawn and placing 3rd to last on the leaderboard for day 1.
Kira now in the fight. Assetti's been fully cracked. Kills down, leaving it all up to Cammy, and once again, 3-0.
The only game they won off spawn, they managed to get 6 kills but not reach endgame. This was Seti, Cammy and Chari, all very highly skilled pros with a good fan base, but didn't manage to clutch up. And the team calling them was Botsai. I probably butchered that name, but something important to mention is they only just qualified for grands from last chance. Now let's look at the Clix stats. Mostash came first, dealing 7,521 damage, and Panzer from Mongar's team dealt 6,983, putting him at second most highest, and third was Marius Cal having 6,300. Teeny's team placed 8th with 266 points and 2 0-point games, which isn't really bad for that circumstance. Now let's see how round 2 went and who are the EU FNCS winners. The FNCS winners of EU, Veno, now a 3 times FNCS champion, Vico and Flixi. They ended up on 673 points and got 2 wins in round 2. It definitely came down to the last wire. In the last game, Veno's team decided to fight off spawn, and if the whole team died they would have lost and possibly placed 3rd. During the fight, Flixi went down and
so much in this. No, Flixi goes down! No, the mistake, the stumble, the potential fumble! No!
Vino and Vico split up, but luckily got back together and pulled off a reboot, but then ended up dying mid-game and just before clutched some kills. You also got to shout out their manager Raz, who helped them out a lot, and was also Peterbot's manager. Second place was Malibuca's team with 648 points, only a couple points away from first but not enough this time, and they actually didn't win any games from round 1 or 2. It just shows all you need is consistency and high kills. But these 2 have qualified to play in France in the LAN event, which will be interesting. Third was Marius Cal's team. They got 622 points and 0 wins as well, which is surprising. Queasy's team placed 4th with 608 points and 2 wins. This team actually had potential to win the whole tournament, since in the last game all of the top 5 died before endgame. And all they had to do is win with 10 kills, but nevertheless still placed high and have nothing to be mad about. Top 5 was Pix's team, the 16-year-olds, with 572 points. Well done to them, but they unluckily didn't get any wins during this tournament. Savage's team placed 8th with 441 points, which is a very good placement for this team considering the scans were stacked with many skilled players. The only problem I noticed is since they were uncontested, they couldn't get Surge or Spawn. As a result, in endgame they would have to jump onto the team closest to them, making them die in most games. And in the last game, Panzer and Mongo died to Malibuca, leaving Savage alone, but he got a reboot off and got his revenge back on Malibuca. Pulling this clutch off and getting some extra placement made them secure the 8th place, since Ardrop's team was only 10 points behind them. Like I said in Group 1 there was Country Beef, and this continued, but you wouldn't expect the outcome. Seti team had a different approach going into round 2. They disengaged off spawn, which is a smart move, and they won or spun a couple times, even managing to win a game and place second.
Zone, he hears the chug splashes coming through, looking around, the shot gets connected.
This was a crazy reverse sweep. They ended up placing 21st and the French team Conondon placed 26. As a result, they made no money in this grands. Now it's time to move over to NA Central. Day 1, surprisingly, Peterbot's team didn't place first. It was Poyo's team with 512 points and 1 win out of the 6 games. They also had the highest eliminations out of the teams. Is this Peterbot's counter? Game 1, Peterbot was going crazy. He had 6 eliminations by himself and was fragging out as a solo with the Invis medallion like he does best.
Just working his way up and down, sneaking, threatening everyone nearby. Another elimination, and Peterbot is starting to heat up.
It's feeling a deja vu from the Global Championship. He does it again. Yamzo goes down. This is why we call him one of the most dangerous players in the game. Clix narrowly escaped and almost getting taken down, but Peterbot's not done just yet. Shield's getting cracked. He finds another one on the Clix. Can anybody stop him?
And even eliminated Clix's team. But Poyo took the win for the first game, clutching up as a solo as well, 3v1ing, which makes us question who was pulling the weight when Peterbot and Poyo were duoed up. Peterbot's team placed second with 420 points, less than 100 points away from first, so very doable to catch up in day 2. This team had the second most highest eliminations but got 0 wins. Also, one of the games Peterbot randomly died whilst no one was around him. Before we look at the top 5 and other game winners, let's see the Kinch stats. Peterbot was first with 9,872 damage, very close to reaching 10,000. Poyo was second with 8,569 damage dealt, and third was Aegis having 8,181 damage, and this was only throughout 6 games. When you think about it, that's pretty insane. Third place was Mars, Yapko and Rise. They had 391 points and got 1 win out of 6 games, which was the third game, and they placed first on the leaderboard for a little while. Canada won game 2 as a solo, having 10 eliminations himself, but his team ended up placing 7th with 319 points. Definitely not a bad place to end up, considering Boss isn't grinding the game as much as he used to. Fourth place was Cooper's team with 372 points and 2 wins. They managed to win back-to-back games and were the first trio to do it. Fifth place was Booker's team and they managed to win the last game of the day, having 350 points. Also, I'm very happy for this team because not much people thought they were actually going to do well. Clix's team placed 6th, getting 345 points, just 5 short from Booker's team. They didn't manage to win but had consistent endgames and eliminations. Hopefully in round 2 we'll see a change and see what this trio is really capable of. It's also important to mention the difference between top 7 and top 2 is only 100 points, so it's really still anyone's game going forward into round 2. This might have been the closest end to an FNCS in history, but Poyo's team came out on top, ending Peterbot's FNCS reign. Who better to do it than his former teammate? And now Poyo became the first person to win in a major region 4 FNCSs in a row. They got 922 points. Shortly behind was Peterbot's team with 908 points, winning the last game with 16 kills, which wasn't enough. They were less than 4 eliminations away from winning. Now before we move on to the other teams, it's important we go over the last game and the game before this. The game before this, when you thought Peterbot couldn't get any better in the grands, he went crazy as a solo, getting 8 eliminations himself out of the 14 in his team, and placed second. That game alone they got 110 points and he dealt 3003 damage, which is insane.
Jumps back up, Peterbot takes height as a solo, gets the siphon,
And there it is.
takes down Sphinx. What the fuck is happening? Oh my god!
With this high ground.
This is Rise comes up, Rise gets chopped, he pumps him, 10 HP, gets him again. That's another siphon, doesn't even need it. Drops down, Beams come out, it's a 1v2, he needs to take down Quanti, and Edgy takes his pump.
It came down to the last game and it was about a 60 point difference. Acorn managed to clutch up, having to revive both teammates after getting keyed by a team from the bottom of the leaderboard trying to make something happen but couldn't connect the shots. This actually most likely won them the tournament and can get people with Acorn's back, saying he was carried. Poyo's team died top 4 but they managed to get 10 kills that game, making sure they placed first, and we'll be seeing both these teams going into the next LAN. Clix came third, which is his best Fortnite competitive placement in his career. His team had 736 points, quite far away from second, but he should be happy with this nevertheless. Fourth was Cooper's team, they got 703 points, and fifth was Moz's team with 685 points. Only 3 points behind him was Kanala's team, and considering his circumstances, this isn't a bad placement for him either. This FNCS was very entertaining to watch and was literally down to the last couple of games. People had the same performance and here are some Kinch stats from him. But we're here to congratulate his former team at Poyo, now having 4 FNCS wings along with Acorn, and he put in a great shift. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get ready for this LAN event which will be taking place this summer on September 6th to the 7th. Peace.